Hello everyone, my name is Samuel Ojo and I'm going to be talking about my findings on the open-ended survey that I did with my fellow classmates on the impact of employee motivation on organizational productivity in an agile environment. Just sit tight and listen to the findings that we got. Thank you. To start with the first question that was asked on the familiarity of our participants, we will have six participants that responded to this question. The question says, how familiar are they with the terminology or the term agile methodology using their own words? So what we actually shows that this showed that 50% of the respondents of this survey are not or used to or not familiar with the methodology called Agile. And otherwise, the other ones kind of somewhat familiar with the Agile methodology by with their little knowledge of that methodology. They kind of mentioned some keywords like implementing new features, quick method of doing things, breaking requirements, project methodology approach. Sometimes some of them even mentioned software development. So as shown on this graph that we have 50-50% of each. That means three of the respondents have an idea and three of the respondents that to this survey also did not have any idea of what the methodology means. Having asking initially about the familiarity and their familiarity about the methodology we are talking about, we moved ahead with the second question, which asks about what is their perspective on and what aspect of agile methodology could enhance employee motivation and organizational productivity. Part of the response that was gotten from there shows that all the respondents actually share their perspective on what it looks like in their own words and to determine the agile methodology that actually contributes to motivation, and they did not neglect their own personal understanding word for word, right? They clearly stated that the agile principles of continuous feedback is part of the aspect, and also acknowledgement of the work that they do helps them cultivate a sense of accomplishment and also maintain high level of employee motivation in several ways. So 100% of the survey participants believe agile methodology frameworks like Kanban, Scrum, and some other methodologies or frameworks that we use is used to balance team loads, stress limitation, gives them opportunity to learn and also gather personal strength. And also they've also used this part of the methodologies or part of the aspect of agile that they thought that it's motivating people to work and to also increase organizational productivity is dividing the project into smaller pieces and also accomplishing the work at a sustainable pace, which also contributes to organizational productivity and their motivation to do things more. So that will lead us to the next question, which is going to get more dived into what we call what are the obstacles that people will actually face in this methodology. To better analyze the data that we got and the content of the data that we got, 83% of the participants really answered this question, and they are very truthful about this because Agile is an environment that is really just coming up and it's really at the initial stage in many organizations. And I've been asking them, we went about the aspect that actually enhance in Agile. Few people answered, and now the questions the answers started trickling down because of their experience. Now start speaking for them. So the question was, how have they observed any challenges, any drawback to maintain high level of employee motivations within an agile team? And if so, what are the challenges and how do they impact the productivity? Yes, after analysis, 83% of the participants have not even observed or been on any agile team to experience these challenges and drawback in maintaining high levels of employee motivation. Probably because of the size of the organization or the project management methodology that are being used. However, as in part of the data and the responses gotten from one or two that are left in the survey, representing 1 out of 6, clearly stated that yes, negative attitudes uh, can affect the team. It can also affect the employee motivation also, because if you don't have the right attitude, this positive attitude, of course negative attitude will lead to it not being productive. Then at the same time, if they are not being appreciated enough, it reduces the morale and their motivation. However, they said the techniques to solve that is that it is going to be like the individuals requires positive reinforcement to drive their motivation. And you can see through the charts that you're looking at, appreciation is one of the things that's been mentioned as keyword of that is affecting employee motivation, and also positive attitude and reinforcement also, while others said they don't have any experience with it. So that will lead us to further questions about what we call team dynamics, and to what extent leadership can do more to get the highest motivation and get the highest performing team as we go on. Yes, this question talks about leadership and management practice in Agile, and how it differs from the traditional hierarchical structure in the other project methodology that we have. And that's just probably going to be the difference between Agile and traditional leadership management. So having gotten that those questions in earlier on, this question is going to talk about what the difference are. There are several keywords that came out of the responses that we got from the 6 respondents. Perhaps we still have some that don't have any experience with this practice and how it looks like. But looking at the data and after analyzing them, 66.7% of the respondents provided their extensive belief and principles on how leadership and the management practice in Agile differs from traditional hierarchical structure by identifying the core values in Agile and the manifestos itself in an Agile environment compared to the traditional project management methodology. So if you look at the table here, there are many things being said, from personal strength, learning, appreciation, high motivation, employee participation, longer term goal, collaborations, and control. In Agile is different. We don't control and command in Agile. We actually servantly lead in Agile. So where others, of course, has no experience. So those it is expected from those that don't have experience with Agile team not to know the difference between the management style in Agile and also in traditional management, because they actually don't use this tool to actually carry out any project. But at the same time, we accounted for them. 33% of them have no idea on how leadership or management style in Agile differs from traditional management structures, which is very much understood. But for those that understand it, they were able to respond with keywords that you're seeing on the screen here, on the slide, that it makes them have the leadership in Agile is going to give employees personal strength, give them opportunity to learn, opportunity to appreciate each other, opportunity to participate and engage is also part of it. High motivation, long-term goal, setting long-term goal gives them the job security and get motivation that they have a goal ahead of them. Then the spirit of collaboration is also part of their leadership style, and of course, the control part of it is not there. So that is it. That will lead us to the next question about how team dynamics can actually impact or influence employee motivation and subsequently organizational productivity. Yes, question 5 is talking about the observations that um, the respondents must have observed or seen from their experience on what role does team dynamics play in sustaining employee motivation and productivity in an agile setting. Of course, team dynamics plays a lot of roles, but from the data analysis being done and the content of those data, we can clearly state that 66% of the responses gotten, meaning 4 out of 6, indicated that team dynamics could play a role in sustaining employee and motivation and productivity in an agile setting. How did they say? We considered their vocal points on some keywords like positive interaction and relationship is part of the team things that could impact or that team dynamics could help get out of employees. At the same time, the spirit of employee participation and engagement came out of there. 2 out of all the 4 talked about employees, participation, engagement. Trust itself is what team dynamics could do. And ownership, taking ownership, team dynamics also gives that room to enhance and sustain employee motivation. And moral building, mutual support, sense of team spirit also could create an uplifting emotional atmosphere that could motivate team members to collaborate effectively and achieve productivity as the goal. So when you look at it, we can see the larger part of the charts, the square part that is large states that many of them mention about attitude, collaboration, communication, positive relationship. Those are the things. On the other hand, 33% of them, which represent 2 out of 6, did not observe or have any experience with team dynamics, so they didn't even know if it could be a factor in maintaining employee motivation in an agile setting. But for the majority part of them, they mentioned key points that you are seeing on the screen that team dynamics could impact employee motivation and productivity as a whole. The survey went ahead to ask about how participants think remote and distributed agile teams could influence employee motivations and productivity, and what strategy could be used to actually mitigate potential challenges that could be on the way. Yes, they mentioned keywords like work culture, engagement, leadership style, appreciation, accountability, communication, and collaboration. For the most part, it's so awesome that those that have experience were able to answer and give good response on them. They talked about how what the strategies that could mitigate potential challenges, but the challenges could be one, lack of clear communication channels, right? Leadership style could be one of it. If there is no team building activities, of course, when there's no good work culture, there's of course that could be a face. And also face-to-face interaction and communication is a major barrier that was mentioned. And the same set of people also mentioned the strategies that could be used to actually solve this problem by establishing clear communication channels, consistent leadership style, not switching back and forth with leadership style, like using leader member exchange, then thereafter using transformational, using dictation, autocratic leadership. So we have to just maintain the leadership style to actually keep employee motivated. And also, last but not the least, they mention about implementing regular virtual team building activities like creating fun that could engage the remote teams or the distributed team, whichever one they are actually working with. But they mentioned good strategies that can be used to actually influence employee motivation. And that will lead us to the final question that is relating to team autonomy, which will be the final question in this open survey. Having talked about the employees' barriers that could affect distributed team or remote team in Agile, the final question in the open-ended survey is talking about the respondents' opinion, and it says, to what extent does employee autonomy contribute to motivation and productivity in an Agile team, and how can organizations also balance autonomy with the need for coordination and collaboration? It's a very wonderful question for them, and many of them talked about different keywords that I couldn't even imagine is going to come out from those that have the experience. So to determine their opinion on how much employee autonomy contributes to motivation and productivity in Agile teams, and of course, how can organization balance autonomy with the need of collaboration, and at the same time, because they are two contradicting, that you want to give them freedom, at the same time you want them to coordinate and also collaborate with each other. Of course, 83% of the participants strongly agree that employee motivation is crucial and employee autonomy is crucial for both employees and the organization. They stated different ways it could contribute to employee motivation and productivity, such as good communication, interaction, ownership, relationship, working with leadership to take this in decision-making process. Meanwhile, 16% of them, which represents 1 out of the 6 respondents, had no idea on what employee autonomy could do, and also how could it contribute to the subject matter. But when you look at the chart, it's talking about more of collaboration, right? Collaboration, even though we are fighting for employee autonomy in Agile, at the same time, they are saying collaboration can balance it, both between the employee and the organization itself. That will lead us to some demographic questions that made us analyze the data and to be able to make a conclusion on the data itself that we collected and the responses collected. Yes. For further analysis to this open-ended survey, some demographic data were used to determine employees' background, experience, where they're coming from, if they are full-time, and so on and so forth. So in the next couple of slides, you will see how we gathered their demographics in analyzing the response or the responses gotten from this open-ended survey exercise. The first 3 demographic data that was collected in this open-ended survey is based on the gender, the age group, and the current employment status of the respondent of this survey. Clearly, it's shown here that the 83% of the participants are women, which represent 5 out of 6, while 17% represent 1 out of the participants of this survey are male. And of course, the age group went across, like 43% of the respondents are between the ages of 25 and 34 to 34. 14% also were between the age group of 35 and 44. And lastly, 43%, which is the rest of the response or participant, are also between 45 and 54. So this cross across 3 decades or more than 3 decades, and of course, respectively, they fall as shown in these graphics, and they all indicate that they are all full-time employees in their respective organization, which will be shown in the next slide. Of course, having identified the gender, the age group, the employment status of our participant of this ended survey, the final set of the demographic questions was talking about their experience and the industry that they worked for. And the industry, the first data on the right hand side of this screen is talking about the industries that they are working for, which they indicated that they are full-time employees. And organizations like, they mentioned organizations, or they are working for many organizations like non-profit. 50% of them are working for non-profit organization. 16% of them are actually with educational institute or colleges or educational industries. 16% also of the respondents are also working with government parastatals, that is government agencies, and 16% of them are working with healthcare with different years of working experience, as shown in the last question and the chart on the left hand side, that 33% of them are having experience between 5 to 10 years. Also, 33% of them also have more than 20 years experience. Then 16% of them has 1 to 5 years experience. And finally, 16% of them also have 16 years to 20 years experience. This is the way they represented their experience and where they are working for as a full-time employee, which goes a long way in this survey exercise, that they cut across different industries and different years of experience, different age group, though majority of them are women that answer this survey. So that leads us to the end of this data analysis, and we will go ahead and look at the references. Yes, these are my references that anyone can use to also do more research about employee motivation, work engagement with agile teams, and also qualitative research. Feel free to look into the references and gain more insight about job satisfaction as a factor of employee motivation, including work engagement. How do we the missing link between team autonomy, trust, and performance. Thank you all for listening to this presentation, and I will also appreciate your feedback in the module comment section of this course. See you at the other hand. Good luck to everyone.